Okay, y'all, this 5 for 5 thing is moving so fast. Let's recap where we are. So, right now, the proposal on the table with the NCAA is that they implement a 5 for 5 model, meaning you have 5 years to play, 5 years, no 4 seasons in 5 years total. Getting rid of red shirts, getting rid of waivers, except in a few very narrow circumstances. Now, this looks like it's going to happen. Okay. Now, keep in mind it's age based. So it's the 5 years starts when you graduate from high school or at age 19, whichever comes first. So by age 24, everybody should be out of the system and we should be moving along. 5 for 5. Okay. Now, the switch of gears was sudden. Back in September of 2025, there were a group of plaintiffs, we call them the Patterson plaintiffs, that were 4-year athletes who had not taken advantage of redshirt. They didn't need to take advantage of redshirt, who were arguing that they had been essentially robbed of the 5th year, which could be the most lucrative year from a financial perspective, because they came in academically prepared, they were athletically prepared, they didn't get hurt, nothing. They started playing as freshmen, they only had 4 years. So they argued we should get 5. We shouldn't get 4 because people who have other things that happen could get 5 years. Patterson plaintiffs. Okay. The Patterson plaintiffs brought that suit in September 2025. In October 2025, the NCAA doubled down and like, no, 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 we are not doing 5 for 5. Hardcore. You can go back and look at the research and look at the articles that were written at the time. NCAA says we're not doing for 5 for 5. Okay. As it turns out, the Patterson plaintiffs were not successful, and that ruling came down in January 2026. So no 5 for 5 for those plaintiffs or anybody else. Okay. So what happened between October 2025 and now, such that the NCAA has done a complete 180? It's like, oh, we offer 5 for 5 now. Well, more than 1,400 waiver requests, 1,450 waiver requests for this school year alone, which is an increase over last school year, but not by much. Okay, so 1,400 waiver requests. They granted roughly 1,000 of them, denied roughly 500 of them, and of the 500 they denied, there were 70 lawsuits, resulting in $16 million in legal fees. And the results were inconsistent. Some cases NCAA was victorious, other cases they weren't. We can think of examples right at the top of our heads. Bediako, the basketball player, Alabama, not successful. Chambliss, football player, Ole Miss, successful. Okay, so no predictability, depending on what the state court wanted to do and if you could find the right judge. Okay, so that happened. Too many waiver requests. Okay, NIL, rev share, portal created a disincentive to move through the system. Now, that disincentive had been building, but as these NIL dollars and now adding the rev share dollars on top of it continued to grow, there was just a disincentive for anybody to move through the system. And so people were stopping talking about these athletes as if they were student athletes and if this, being in college, athletics was their job. Problem. Okay. High school recruits were getting crammed down. Okay, because especially with the portal, guys were just churning. If they were able to extend their eligibility into year 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, high school recruits were the ones bearing the brunt. Keep in mind that those JuCo athletes were out there and they're like, we don't think JuCo should count against us at all, and we should get 4 years NCAA Division I, regardless of how much time we spend in JuCo. Those cases had varying levels of success as well. Okay. Roster limits killed walk-ons. So you no longer had the position where you could have lots of athletes with just a limited number of scholarships, hard roster limits. So you had to limit the number of athletes that were available to participate. And we recall on basketball, G League and Europe players coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, we want to come back to D1 and get some of that NIL money. And we all were like, come on now, what you doing? So those were some of the factors. I'm sure there were other factors as well, but those are some of the factors. Now, if this happens, okay, here's that you reside in 3 different buckets. If you are out of eligibility this school year, you SOL, you're done. If there are no waivers available to you under the current system, you're done. If you're out of eligibility, whether you've played 4 years or more, done. Okay. Now, athletes who have remaining eligibility going into the next school year, 2026-2027, they must choose either to be in the old model or to move to the new model. Okay. And they must choose by July 31st. I think the default rule is whichever one they decide is best for you is the one you will get. But there's a requirement to affirmatively choose if you want to make a choice as to the current model or this new 5-for-5 model. Now, high school recruits out the gate, this rule will apply. Okay. So for high school guys that were guys in particular, not necessarily guys, but these reclassing people, these people who never want to graduate, they graduate high school and they go to prep school and they go to all these different things before they enter college. These people will be affected at the jump because the rule will start immediately for them. So, if you one of those people that reclassed a number of times and you 20 years old and you hadn't started college, your clock is ticking. You might not get your full 5 years, okay? Or 4 years, depending on where you are in your pipeline. Now, it will continue to affect these high school recruits, okay? Because now there's another year being added onto it, but it will create predictability with respect to their recruiting cycle and how they can behave going into the season. And it will clear up people that just hanging on and don't want to leave the system. Now, keep in mind, this is for all collegiate sports. It is not just for football and basketball. All collegiate sports around across the board. Okay? Will it get challenged in court? I don't know. Maybe. Is it the right move? Probably. Probably. Okay? Because you need to create a system that is a collegiate system that keeps people moving through and not hanging on as if this is now their profession. So that's the latest on it. We'll see how it turns out. I'm just surprised how quickly it has moved, given the fact that the NCAA was such a hater on this proposal back in October 2025. Anyway, that's all I have for now. As always, let me know what you think.